Good evening and welcome to your Friday, September 27, 2024 edition of the Evening News. I am Jemima Holmes. Thank you for joining us. Let's take a look at some of the lead stories tonight. Officials fired for breaches as government clamps down on procurement corruption. GTE power plant to start supplying national grid by April 2025, says VP. After 1 month on the run, BERBICE wife beater nabbed by police. SCHLUMBERGER spends $4.2 million Guyana dollars to enhance Guyana's zoo facilities, and rebuilding works progressing for storm-affected Linden residents. Now for the news in detail. As the Guyana government seeks to streamline the public procurement system, Vice President Dr. Barjagdio has emphasized the need for strict disciplinary measures against procurement officials who fail to carry out their duties responsibly. In our lead story tonight, Vanu Manikchand reports that some officials have already been terminated for breaches.
During his press conference on Thursday, Vice President Dr. Barjagdio spoke of his recent meeting with permanent secretaries and regional executive officers. At that meeting, Jagdio had reiterated the government's zero-tolerance policy for breaches, failures, and corruption within the procurement process.
I made it clear that we will not countenance any departure from the Procurement Act and the regulations that form part of the legislation governing procurement in Guyana. And I know in the two cases where engineers have lost their jobs because of colluding with people on the ground in the projects to inflate bills and to approve shoddy work or work not done, and they have lost their jobs. So I think it should happen more in government. I think it should happen more in government. People should face responsibility.
In fact, Jagdio cited a recent case where the head evaluator failed to read the bid document and used an incorrect bid-in price to evaluate the proposals.
When we discovered this, we had to terminate the bid. But this is a report that was done by the evaluation committee. The two other persons signed on to the report done by the chair. Not a single one of them looked at the bid documents. You're supposed to review the bid documents, not look at the opening. They do a shoddy job, laziness, and this led to wrong person getting the contract. And I've been advocating that he should be fired. The person should be fired. I spoke to the minister. That's not a simple dereliction of duty.
Nevertheless, the Vice President lauded those public officials who are working tirelessly to ensure development projects are carried out successfully.
Here, a permanent secretary and an REO is administering maybe 300 projects, when in the past they would administer 5 projects. So it's a lot more work, and we appreciate that work. 95% of our projects, when you drive across this country, are done on time, properly, and they're benefiting tens of thousands of Guyanese everywhere, and they can testify to this. In the housing sector, in community roads, in other types of infrastructure, they're going well.
Since last year, the Guyana government has been clamping down on transgressions within the public procurement system and holding contractors accountable for delays in public projects. Reporting for the Evening News, Vanu Manikchand.
The contractor for the model gas-to-energy project, Linseka CH4 Guyana Inc., is expected to deliver power to the national grid by April 2025, and failure to do so could result in it having to pay hefty sums in liquidated damages if the Guyana government wins the ongoing arbitration. Here is Vanu Manikchand again with the details.
Linden CH4 Guyana Inc. was awarded the U.S. $759 million contract in December 2022 to build the natural gas liquids facility and the 300-megawatt combined cycle power plant at Wales, West Coast Demerara, utilizing the rich gas that will be piped from offshore Guyana. Initially, the deadline to deliver the power was this year end, but owing to delays in handing over other aspects of the project, the contractor was given a 3-month extension. As a result, Linden CH4 and the Guyana government are currently in a dispute over the deadline and associated costs, resulting in an arbitration process being activated. But Vice President Dr. Bart Jagdeo believes that the 3-month extension is justified, and this is the basis of the government's arguments in the arbitration process.
There is a delay now because the site was handed over late. We said that what we believe is justified is a 3-month extension to the contract. We offered that. The company doesn't want that. We believe that the delay in handing over the site that Exxon was responsible for will justify just a 3-month extension. And that's what we are arguing for in the arbitration. Therefore, power should be supplied to the grid from that project by April of 2025.
The Vice President was at the time clarifying recent reports that the completion of the gas-to-energy project has been delayed to the second half of next year due to some setbacks with the civil works. It was explained that while the government has given a 3-month extension, Linden CH4 was initially asking for a 6-month extension but is now pushing to deliver the power plant in October 2025. Along with an extension, the contractor is also claiming US $50 million over the delays. But Jagdeo clarified that government has not agreed to that new timeline set out by the contractor, warning that any delays in delivering power to the national grid would result in liquidated damages to the tune of US $11.3 million per month.
If we win the arbitration, they would have only by April to deliver this project. They have given a schedule which shows later in the year. That is what Winston Brassington spoke of. But I did not want the public to think that we agree to their schedule. We have only given an approval for 3 months extension. So if we win in the arbitration and they stick with that schedule, then there would be liquidating damages that would be $11 million, I think, per month.
Reporting for the Evening News, Vanu Manekchand.
Considered the largest project of its kind in the country, Prime Minister Mark Phillips has turned the sod for the construction of a 5-megawatt solar photovoltaic system along the Essequibo coast. Luana McAllister tells us more.
The new ambitious project will see the establishment of a 5-megawatt peak solar photovoltaic system that will also include 12-megawatt peak of battery storage. It will be located at the under Niming Essequibo Coast Region 2. Speaking at the sod-turning ceremony on Thursday was Prime Minister Mark Phillips, who highlighted that this project is part of a wider initiative aimed at improving the solar energy landscape in the country.
And many of us know what happened to Amelia Falls. A lot of preparatory work were done, but it never progressed because the then opposition, who had the majority vote in the House of Assembly and Parliament, was totally against that project. They scuttled that project. So Amelia Falls was shelved. When we got into office, is we decided that we will utilize the money, but we will stick with the renewable energy project in the utilization of that set of money. And that gave birth to the largest solar PV project that we would have embarked on in this country. Some 33 megawatts of solar power. And what we are doing today is storing the sod for the first component of lot 2. Sorry, on the paper here has lot 3, right? The first component of lot 3 of that project, which is on the Neiman 5 megawatts solar farm with a 7.5 megawatt battery storage facility that will be constructed here.
Moreover, the Prime Minister reaffirmed the government's commitment towards shifting to renewable energy sources.
Today we're talking about Low Carbon Development Strategy 2030. So we took the last Low Carbon Development Strategy that we unveiled in 2009 and we amended it, we upgraded it in keeping with the realities of the current time that we live in. So we have a LCDS 2030. In other words, we have several targets that we must reach by the year 2030. And this is part of our activities towards reaching our target of greater use of renewable energy by 2030.
The solar farm is the largest of its kind in Guyana. The initiative, funded under the Low Carbon Development Strategy, would significantly enhance energy stability in Region 2. Beyond increasing energy availability, the project would also focus on job creation and skills development. According to officials, some 20 local men would be trained as technicians to maintain the solar system. Women would also be included in the training process for maintaining the system. Lawanda McAllister, The Evening News.
The Protected Areas Commission's Zoological Park today launched an enhancement project aimed at improving the zoo's facilities and enriching the experiences of children, visitors, and wildlife enthusiasts. Michael Henry reports that this initiative is a collaboration between the PAC and SCHLUMBERGER Guyana, the first corporate partner to contribute to this cause.
What began as a simple WhatsApp conversation among key stakeholders about improving living conditions for animals at the Georgetown Zoological Park has now evolved into a $4.2 million initiative, with SCHLUMBERGER as the first major contributor commissioning a brand new shelter. Speaking at the launch of the newly rehabilitated shelter at the Zoological Park on Friday, Charlene Sigulam, Managing Director of SLB SCHLUMBERGER, relayed that the facility will house a wide array of animals.
This space will house some of the zoological park's most treasured and vulnerable species, the red-footed and yellow-footed tortoises, and the majestic, and you're going to have to help me with the pronunciation here, Jabiru stork. I hope that's correct. That's the zoo's oldest resident. SLB was the first to come on board and pave the way for others to follow. But beyond the aesthetics, beyond the newly furbished enclosure, this initiative is about something much, much larger: safeguarding biodiversity. The rehabilitation efforts at this zoo are part of a broader transformation, one that seeks to turn this facility into a research and conservation center.
Meanwhile, Commissioner of the Protected Area Commission, Jason Fraser, highlighted concerns from the public regarding the zoological park. On this point, he encouraged stakeholders to be a part of this environmental movement.
We've heard from the general public, and let's be frank, we heard from the general public their dissatisfaction at times of, the state of our one and only zoo. And so, with a new kind of reinvigorated board that started back in 2021, behind me is the first enclosure that we have rehabilitated in this public-private partnership. And I would like other organizations to also step up to the plate and help us create safer, secure, educational urban green spaces, including the zoological park. So,
Michelle Henry, The Evening News.
Coming up, Minister Todd addresses eroding respect for UN Charter, and May Thomas remains on paid leave. Do stay with us. More news ahead.
The oil and gas industry is helping to transform safety standards across all sectors of Guyana. The government and industry leaders are pioneering safer offshore oil production with new legislation, updated policies, and state-of-the-art floating production, storage, and offloading vessels.
Transitions Light Intelligent Lenses. Pick your color. Choose your style. Available at Optique Vision Care.
Oreo and Coca-Cola just became besties. Taste the new limited editions while they last.
You can tell from the crowd who's up next. It's Premier's star player, whose world-class stats put him in a league of his own. Premier's rise to stardom has been one for the record books. The first team to get a GY A+ rating. They boast a strong solvency and A-class service. Ladies and gentlemen, you're witnessing Premier's financial and technical strength that is out of this world.
Premier insurance coverage for life.
Mechanics, Sylvie's has all the equipment you need to make your job easier and your business profitable. Visit our 31 High and Hatfield Street store and choose from our wide array of shop presses, engine hoists, oil drain pans, parts washers, jack stands, bottle and floor jacks, hand tools, and much more. Can't make it to the store? Shop online at sylviesonline.com and have it delivered. Call or WhatsApp 623-7755 for more info.
Coca-Cola just became besties. Taste the new limited edition.
Welcome back. You're watching the Evening News. After 1 month of being on the run, a man accused of beating his wife has been apprehended by police in BERBICE. Edwin Johir was on Thursday caught in the backlands of the Albion estate, some 30 miles off the main road. Police have been looking for the suspect since August 26, following an assault report by his 38-year-old wife. The woman had alleged that she was riding her electric scooter when her husband deliberately crashed his motorcycle into her, causing her to fall onto the ground. Thereafter, the woman alleged that her husband then began to cuff her to the face and body. She further alleged that the man pelted her with a brick. Since then, the husband had gone into hiding until today, when he was found and arrested. Investigations are continuing. We now tell you that Guyana's Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Hugh Todd, recently addressed the 32nd meeting of the United Nations Security Council on the maintenance of international peace and security. During his address to the world leaders, Minister Todd addressed the issue of the eroding respect for the United Nations Charter. Let's have a look.
Turning to your question on how to address the emerging trend of eroding respect for the United Nations Charter and recommit to its purposes and principles, I will make 3 points. First, at the heart of every instance of deviation from the ideals of the United Nations is disregard for the provisions of the Charter and international law, more generally. We must therefore make it consequential for those members who violate established global norms and standards, including international law. This brings me to my second point, the selective application of international law. We as member states of the United Nations must not and cannot accept double standards in the application of the legal norms to which we have all agreed. We must make it a priority to promote the consistent application of the United Nations Charter and international law. It is, after all, only we member states who can ensure that this happens. And I take this opportunity to urge a recommitment by all of us to uphold the Charter as the standard for all decisions and actions. Membership of this organization is voluntary, but adherence to the purposes and principles of the Charter is not. It is a legal obligation. Our world is replete with painful examples of the consequences of violating the provisions of the Charter. Gaza, Sudan, and Ukraine are three such cases that are particularly concerning, owing to the depth of human suffering and destruction taking place. Though there is political will on the part of most Council members to make the right decisions to bring these wars to an end and to create conditions for the protection of civilians, the Council is stymied by one or the other veto. Finally, Guyana considers that the maintenance of international peace and security is a collective endeavor that also involves regional organizations. It is therefore important for the Security Council to continue working closely with regional organizations such as the African Union, the European Union, and my own Caribbean community, CARICOM, inter alia, to jointly develop responses for threats to peace and security in the respective regions.
Lawanda McAllister joins us now to report that the rebuilding efforts are underway for storm-affected residents of Linden, Region 10. Here is more.
On Tuesday night, several houses in Linden Region 10 were affected as a storm accompanied by strong winds and heavy rain swept through the mining town. A number of houses were left exposed to the elements as heavy winds damaged and, in some cases, ripped off the entire roof of these homes. Moreover, flash flooding affected several houses. In an interview with the Evening News on Friday, Linden's town clerk Lennox Gasper revealed that through central government, most of these homes have already been repaired.
Out of the 13 properties on Mackenzie Shore that was affected, 8 was completed. The balance, which would have been 5, they're still ongoing. They would have had some a little bit more technical difficulties and works to be done in terms of framing over the entire roof and more difficult work than just the zinc sheets. Oh. On the Wisma Shore, out of the 20, just about half was completed, and the other half is still being worked on as we speak.
Earlier this week, the town clerk had highlighted that 6 residents were slated to be relocated from their homes due to the extent of the damages. However, he revealed that these persons have turned down the offer.
With the intervention of the CDC, they would have engaged those persons. Some persons were able to get tents and food supplies, along with cleaning materials. However, they would have indicated that they don't wish to move. And so the shelters have been checked out by the CDC, but it is just basically in case they have a change of mind, but persons have not been, they hadn't taken the access of the use of the shelters.
Meanwhile, on Wednesday, following the freak storm, Public Works Minister Juan Edgil, alongside local government and regional development minister Sonia Parag, as well as officials from the Civil Defense Commission, conducted a walk-through exercise at several communities where they provided aid to affected residents. Lawanda McAllister for the Evening News.
As the Ministry of Agriculture continues to make significant investments in the area of agro-processing, fruits have been reaped, with the country recording an over 50% increase in such exports last year. Find out more from Michael Henry.
Agro-processing also is another area, is a priority area within the Guyana Marketing Corporation, introducing over 140 new local products in 2023. Export volumes grew by 61%, with 897 million earned from agro-processed export.
That was Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa during a recent high-level dialogue themed Reflections on the Fight Against Hunger in Latin America and the Caribbean, revealing that Guyana's export volumes have significantly grown in recent times due to the government's strategic planning and investments. Emphasizing the need to ensure food security in the region, Mustafa used the platform to highlight other local agricultural success stories. On this point, he spoke about the Agriculture and Innovation Entrepreneurship Program, which was launched in January 2022.
This initiative would have generated approximately $30 million in revenue. And this program has been driven by young people. We have over 1,000 young people today, youth, who are involved in agriculture. Because of the successes that we have had in this program, we are now rolling out this program to other regions in the country, regions 2, 5, and 10, where we'll be expending another $4.5 million investment, targeting another 600 young people to be part of this program. So this is a very successful program, and this is a way as stakeholder in the agriculture sector, as decision maker, we have to ensure that we bring in more young people in the program.
Minister Mustafa also boasted about the local diversification of crops.
And Guyana has been importing annually over $40 million in corn and soya for the livestock industry. We are hoping by years 2025, next year, that we will be self-sufficient and we will reduce that, or we will have $40 million to put in other sector, other vulnerable sector, to improve the country's development.
Michael Henry, The Evening News.
Nearly 4 months after being sent on leave with immediate effect on June 11, 2024, May Thomas, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Labor, remains on paid leave. This was disclosed on Thursday by Vice President Bara Jagdeo. Thomas proceeded on leave after the United States Department of the Treasury had issued a statement indicating that she had been sanctioned, along with 2 Guyanese businessmen, Nazar and Azruddin Mohammed. These 3 persons have been sanctioned by the U.S.'s Department of the Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control for allegedly engaging in corrupt practices. Thomas, who had been a member of the People's Progressive Party, had resigned from that party's Central Committee as well. Before the issuance of sanctions, the U.S. had revoked Thomas's visa in April 2023. In August 2023, the Guyana government reassigned Thomas from the post of Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Home Affairs to the post of Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Labor. And now for a look at the bridge reports.
Fedemara Harbour Bridge will be closed to vehicular traffic on Saturday, September 28, 2024 at 1:30 for a period of 1.5 hours. Meanwhile, the BERBICE Bridge is scheduled to be closed to vehicular traffic at 14:10 on Saturday, September 28, 2024, also for a period of 1.5 hours.
Confident Klusner, happy with Warriors' campaign thus far and no goals, admire relishing good form this CPL. These and more stories coming up in this evening's Sportcast, sponsored by MacCorp.
I am Bernard, and this is MacCorp Rental. call me on 622-4037. Markup, let's do the work.
Looking to bring your dream home to reality? Or simply taking on a home improvement project? Then National Hardware Limited is where you should start. Let us put that touch to your home. Choose from over 1,000 Berger Paint original hues for any surface. We are known for our trusted brands such as Westinghouse, Philips, Sadco, Rubbermaid, Pyrex, Gibson Home, and so much more. National Hardware Limited, your do-it-best store. Located in downtown Georgetown and industrial site Rhymeville.
Oreo and Coca-Cola just became besties. Taste the new limited edition.
In today's tough driving conditions, every engine faces three powerful enemies: engine heat, pollutants, and frequent short trips. Each factor is a direct cause of engine sludge, a buildup of dirt that can block vital oilways. This triple threat demands triple protection. Castrol GTX's Triple Protect Power is engineered to fight these three main causes of engine sludge.
It's sippy out, it's sippy out. It's sippy out, man, girl and boy. Feel the sippy out joy from every nation in the Caribbean. Larger than life, we're building legends in this Caribbean nation. We're all in, it's sippy out time.
We're all in. Republic Bank, title sponsor and official bank of the Republic Bank Caribbean.
Oreo and Coca-Cola.